Hey guys, welcome back to another great game of CEDH. Starting us off is Matt on Raffine, aiming to flood the board with Staxy creatures that get to both grow 2 pressure life totals while providing added card selection through Raffine. His opening hand was a Command Tower, Silent Clearing, Scalding Tarn, Esper Sentinel, Reanimate, Drenith Magistrate, and a Fairy Mastermind. Next up is Braden on Kinnan, and what can I say that people don't already know? Kinnan makes way too much mana, lets you sit back on Kinnan activations for big dumb boys, and has the ever-looming threat of just combo killing the table out, with a few very searchable artifacts. His opening hand was a City of Brass, Prismatic Vista, Brainstorm, Spellskite, Simic Signet, Felwar Stone, and a Force of Will. In the third spot we have Hidden on Obnixilis. The King of Ping is back. Fetchlands, Mana Vaults, Bowmasters, there's a lot of ping running around. And this man is set to capitalize with both card advantage and a massive body to just take your opponents out. His opening hand was a Blood Crypt, Snow-Covered Swamp, Kessig Flamebreather, a Braid, Orcish Bowmaster, Yawgmoth's Will, and a Ricochet Trap. And bringing up the rear is Mike on Magda. This is Mighty Morphin Dwarfs, aiming for lots of treasure and an instant speed tutable win con. His opening hand was a Gemstone Caverns, Clown Car, Vexing Bauble, Shatterskull Smashing, Zorn, Ghostfire Slice, and a Stoke the Flames.
Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board.
Mike actually has a pregame, as he puts a Gemstone Caverns into play, exiling a Ghostfire Slice. Matt has a Command Tower for a turn 1 Esper Sentinel. Braden apparently found something nice off the top, as he plays out a Command Tower and casts a Mystic Remora. He gives a card to Matt, but passes after that. Hidden on his turn takes 2 to shock in an untapped Blood Crypt, but passes there. Mike takes 3 as he plays out an untapped Shatterskull the Hammer Pass, tapping out to cast his commander Magda. Matt plays and cracks a Scalding Tarn for an Underground Sea, but hands the turn over as he goes searching. Braden pays to keep his fish around and plays out a Prismatic Vista, cracking the fetch for an Island. Hidden untaps and plays out a Snow-Covered Swamp, deciding to main phase an Orcish Bowmaster, with the creature pinging Magda off ETB. Mike plays out his Mountain and for 1 casts a Vexing Bauble. He declines both the fish and Esper triggers, with Hidden pinging the Esper and Mike, with Mike then following that up with a Clown Car, where X equals 1. He once again feeds the fish, with Hidden pinging Mike once again, and Mike getting 1 clown off his Clown Car, with Matt at his end step swordsing the Bowmaster. He lets Braden draw, with Hidden pinging the clown off the Bowmasters before it gets exiled. Matt has a Silent Clearing his land, tapping out to cast his commander Raffine. Braden untaps and lets his fish go. He plays out a Scalding Tarn, and then casts his commander Kinnan, passing after discarding a Force of Will and a Summoning Trap due to hand size. Hidden takes 3 for an untapped Shatterskull the Hammer Pass and hits the combat. He sends his 5/5 Orc at Matt, who takes the hit. Mike then heads to his turn and taps 3 for a Battered Golem. Matt starts off with combat. He sends Raffine at Hidden, with there being a Connive trigger. Matt ends up discarding a Mindbreak Trap to grow his commander by 1. Hidden then takes the hit, and on his second main, Matt shocks in a serialized Hollowed Fountain, tapping 1 to then cast a Soul Ring, and following it up with a Rhystic Study, to which Braden cracks his fetch in response, to which Hidden taps 3 to flash in an opposition agent. Hidden steals a Trop and looks at Braden's hand. The Rhystic then resolves, with Matt then ending his turn with a Drenith Magistrate. Braden untaps and for 2 casts a Felwar Stone. He gives a card to Matt and then follows it up with a Brainstorm. He will pay this time and manages to find a land as he plays out a Yavimaya Coast as land for turn. Luckily for Hidden, Drenith doesn't stop him from playing the Stolen Trop, as he then moves to combat, sending 8 back at Matt, passing after that. Mike has an Urza Saga as land and also sends his Golem at Matt for 3, following that up with a Barkform Harvester. This will untap the Golem, with Mike then paying the 1 for the Rhystic. Matt once again starts off with combat. He sends the team back at Hidden, with the Connive trigger staying on Raffine. He discards a Chrome Mox and a City of Brass, with Hidden taking 4. Matt then on his second main plays out an Exotic Orchard, and for 2 casts a Gilded Drake, who surprisingly takes Kinnan. Braden has a Pollywog Prodigy and passes there. Hidden plays out a Gemstone Caverns as land and casts a Kessig Flame Breather. He pays for Rhystic and then heads to combat. He sends the Orc back at Matt, who hard casts a Deadly Rollick to take the creature out, with Hidden passing after that. Mike plays out a Mountain and casts a Zorn, paying for the Rhystic and passing. Matt starts off with combat. He sends Raffine at Hidden and connives away a Savine's Reclamation. Hidden will take 4, with Matt ending his turn with a basic island. Braden has a Spellskite for 2 and pays for the Rhystic, with the added benefit of evolving his Pollywog Prodigy. Hidden feels kind of out of it when he casts an Unstable Amulet. He pays 1 and triggers his Flame Breather to ping the table, with Mike at his end step convoking out a Stoke the Flames on the Drannith. He can't pay the 1, with the Drannith getting taken out. Mike untaps, draws, and floats a mana off the Urza Saga. Unfortunately, there's still an opposition agent in play, as Hidden gets to grab out a Grafdigger's Cage, with Mike then recasting his commander Magda. He can pay the 1, but looks like he got a little flustered off his stolen cage, as he then casts a Lotus Petal. It gets countered and draws Matt and Braden a card, with Matt at his end step activating Kinnan, but whiffing the activation. Matt starts off with combat. Raffine now heads at Mike, with Matt conniving away a Razakath, and Mike taking 5, with Matt on his second main casting a Mystic Remora. He gives a card to Braden, but is done after that. Braden for 2 has a Volatile Stormdrake. He gives Matt a card off the Rhystic and attempts to take his commander back, with Matt in response activating Kinnan. He finds a Mausoleum Wanderer, with the switch happening, and Braden ending his turn discarding a Misty due to hand size. Hidden has an Ancient Tomb as land and takes 2 to cast a Stolen Grafdigger's Cage. There's a Rhystic, Fish, and Pollywog trigger, with Braden drawing off his Pollywog and then respawning with the delay on the cage. He gives 2 cards to Matt, with Hidden then casting a Ricochet Trap. He'll pay for Rhystic, but will give Matt a draw off the Fish. The table will then take 1 off the Flame Breather, the Ricochet Trap will stop the delay, with the table then taking 2 from the Flame Breather and Amulet off the cast of the cage, with the last thing actually being the Grafdigger's Cage resolving. Mike then heads to his turn, but whiffs on his draw, as he plays out a Cavern of Souls, naming Dwarf. Matt untaps and lets his fish go. He casts an Arcane Signet and then heads to combat. He swings Raffine and the Mausoleum Wanderer at Mike, and puts the Connive trigger on the Wanderer. He connives away a Vamp Tutor and a Dothy Voidwalker to grow his creatures, and have Mike take 8. Then on his second main, he casts a Tymna, and ends his turn with a Bloodstained Mire into a Lavinia, discarding a Demonic Tutor due to hand size. Braden finds a Mana Confluence off the top, and for 3 casts a Relic of Legends. He'll pay for the Rhystic, but passes there. Hidden casts a Gleeful Arsonist, and continues to pay the 1, with Mike at his end step throwing his Clown Car with Magda and his Bark form to gain 4 treasures. Mike untaps and for 4 casts a Roaming Throne. He pays the 1 and names Dwarf as he passes the turn. Matt heads straight to combat. He sends the Wanderer at Hidden, the Raffine at Mike, and the Tymna heading at Braden. Matt will put the Raffine trigger on Tymna, with him conniving away a Dark Ritual, Talisman of Dominance, and a Reanimate to make Tymna a 5/5. With him then only gaining 2 after he pays 3 life to draw 3 off Tymna. With him then playing out a Charismatic Conqueror, with Braden at his end step discarding a Colossal Sky Turtle to rebuy his summoning trap. Brayden then heads to his turn and casts the One Ring. He pays the 1 and takes 1 off the Arsonist. The ring then resolves with Matt gaining a 1/1 and Brayden gaining protection. He then taps to draw off the ring and ends his turn with a Simic Signet, paying the 1 but having it enter tapped. Hidden has a command tower as land and attempts to play his commander. He pays the 1 and has his commander enter untapped, with Mike at his end step brewing, and this time making 12 more tap treasures. Mike draws and finds a Trinisphere off the top. He'll pay the 1 and takes 1 off the Arsonist, and triggers Ob to exile an Arid Mesa off the top. He'll have it enter untapped, with him then cracking his Vexing Bubble to draw, ending his turn with a Torpor Orb, pinging him for 1 and another Ob trigger. Then, at his end step, Matt will overload a Cyclonic Rift. He'll take 1 off the Arsonist, and unfortunately for the table, Brayden did have a Flusterstorm, but with the Trinisphere out, can't stop it. So, as an act of desperation, Hidden activates his amulet to exile a Deadly Rollick. But with that, the Psych Rift happens and bounces everything. Although still in end step, Matt will then crack his fetch, with Hidden responding by recasting his Oppo to see if the table truly is dead. Matt then heads to his turn and sends Raffine at Mike, with the rest of the creatures heading at Hidden. Matt has a bunch of connive triggers for Raffine. He connives 10, and while it's mainly to discard lands, he discards 4 non-lands, which will let him commander damage out Mike, with Hidden trading his Oppo to the Lavinia and dropping to 3. Matt then pays 2 life to draw off Tymna, and then starts casting spells, as he casts a Polywad Prodigy into an opposition agent of his own, ending his turn discarding a Spellseeker due to hand size. Brayden plays out a Spire of Industry as land, and is pretty sure the table has already lost the game. He plays out his commander, which will enter tapped into a Felwar Stone. He's not paying for any of the Rhystic triggers, and continues with a Lotus Petal into a One Ring, handing the turn over after that. Hidden untaps, but in his upkeep, Matt casts a Silence, ending Hidden's turn. Matt is then able to untap and swing to take Hidden out, with him on his second main casting a Ranger Captain into a Thassa's Oracle to let him win the game. Game review. Man, Stax couldn't save me. I felt so out of that game. While the game was slowed down, it really just felt like everyone was just at a standoff. And unfortunately, that Trinisphere was the last straw that let Matt slip in through the cracks. And to be fair, we did feed him a bunch of cards off his Rhystic and Fish, so I'm not totally surprised about the incident. Thanks to everyone that joined for the game, and before everyone leaves, I want to thank our special Patreon members, Slyfox and Holy Septic, for the support of the channel, along with all of our other Patreon supporters as well. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.